speak, I must pay my respects to my elders in the past, present and emerging. I must stand before you as a proud Aboriginal man belonging to the oldest living culture on the planet. 2,500 tribes and over 700 languages in this country. I grew up from Shepparton. My cultural makeup is Yorta Yorta, Doolan Yagan clan of the Yalupna Islands. It's also Wurundjeri or Wurundjeri through my grandmother, Violet McCrow Briggs. And that also connects me to the Bunwurrung people of south side of the river and the Melbourne area. The land in which I stand on today is the Wurundjeri people of the Wurrung language group. The Centre for Cultural Diversity and Ageing also sits on the Wurundjeri people's country and always pays respects to the traditional owners and the Indigenous Aboriginal community in the work that they do. As a kid growing up, my elders were held very close to us and spent a lot of time with many elders, being out on country and connecting, me to those stories and gifting me the knowledge and the wisdom that they have. So our elders are very, very important to us. And I'd also like to pay my respects to the elders of the lands in which you are situated on in watching this Welcome to Country. Womanjika, Wurundjeri, Balak Yemen Gundi B. Welcome.
I would like to thank Uncle Shane Charles for this beautiful welcome to country. I too respectfully acknowledge the past, present, and traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. It is truly a privilege to be on Wurundjeri land. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the centre. We have a beautiful vision that we want all aged care consumers in Australia to experience inclusive and accessible care. And our purpose is we want to build capacity and capabilities of the Australians' aged care providers to deliver services that are welcoming, inclusive, and accessible. Our service areas include inclusive practice, training and workshops, capacity building to promote cultural inclusion and equity, and diverse advice and consulting. We do this through our workshops. We do this through the resources that we have on our website, which you can visit anytime. And we also give diversity advice to government bodies and individual service providers. The Centre for Cultural Diversity in Ageing is supported by Benetas and funded by the Australian Department of Health and Aged Care through the Partners in Culturally Appropriate Care PCARE program. So today we're going to talk to you about Harmony Week. Harmony Week is a time when we celebrate Australian multiculturalism. It speaks to the diversity of Australia. And as you know, or may not know, Australia is one of the most successful multicultural countries in the world. The message of Harmony Week is that everyone belongs. It's about inclusiveness, respect, and belonging for all Australians, regardless of their cultural or linguistic background. That's a beautiful message to share with you. A little statistic session. So we looked at some statistics from the census 2021 and SBS, and there are over 420 languages spoken in Australia, including 183 Indigenous languages. The top 5 languages used at home, other than English, are Mandarin, Arabic, Vietnamese, Cantonese, and Punjabi. And around 37% of people over 65 years were born overseas. The 2021 census data collects information from more than 120 religions and faiths. So you can see how diverse Australia is. And now for our special guest today, that is Nadereh Edwards. Nadereh is a specialist in engaging and building the capacity of seniors and senior clubs leaders. She has over 25 years experience working in Australia as well as the UK communities and for the non-for-profit sectors. Nadereh currently works at Spectrum. She is coordinating the Northern Federation of Ethnic Senior Citizens Clubs in Melbourne. This initiative provides a platform for older people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds to have a stronger voice in matters that affects them. And we would like to now welcome Nadereh with her little presentation.
Thank you so much, Biliana, and welcome everyone. So the Northern Federation of Ethnic Senior Citizen Club is a platform that is and we call this federation for short. It's a long name otherwise. It's a community empowerment platform where the presidents or representative of the senior clubs have opportunity to get together on a regular basis that as a group they can have a stronger voice. And we promote and advocate for the importance of positive aging strategy and the importance of social connectedness. At our meeting, we look at what services that are affecting and are available for the seniors and how appropriate they are and what are the gaps. And this is coming from the seniors themselves that are using these services, and then how we can they suggest that what can be done and to improve these services, and then that we can feed that back to the service providers, to the government of all level, and the peak bodies, particularly with invite guest speakers to our meeting, and we join many consultations and bringing the services to the people that they directly using them. So the aim is empowering senior clubs to successfully find a solution to common issue that affecting the aging population. And it is the senior clubs that we like to support because they're doing a fantastic job actually supporting their community. They're providing a space that people can come together, their members, and have that social connectedness. And they have the language, they have the cultural appropriate setting, and people have been together for a long time, formed the friendship, and they have the trust and the place that they can go. So the federation, how it works, is coordinated and the coordinator is funded by Spectrum Migrant Resource Center, and which is myself. And we also offer, as well as the doing the guest speaker and consultation and giving feedback, we also have activities that is training, assisting the club in preparation of the funding application and administrative support in meeting all their funding requirements and resources and information that is relevant to them. A lot of clubs are struggling with the fact that a lot of all these funding requirements are done online, and they're finding it more and more it's challenging for them to learn how the different platform changes, requirement changes, and so also supporting them to be updated and getting some digital technology training and working with them to meet their requirements, which is a huge challenge for them. And also looking to see how they can get volunteers that they can be supported and assisted through this process. Yeah, we are advocating and leading a change, hopefully, for a more inclusive Australia. So that's very brief information from myself that what Federation is about.
I would like to present two videos that we did together with the Northern Federation of Ethnic Senior Citizens Clubs and Spectrum, and with the help of Red Hat Films. So the first video will talk about one thing that seniors would like to change about aged care. We basically talked to few seniors that were happy to share their thoughts and insights, and hopefully you'll enjoy the video.
The one thing I would like to change would be to get better access to services. Look, we don't want to depend on our children because our children have a hard enough, life to just deal with their own families. And I think that's what I'd like to change, that governments would realise that their seniors, if they get a little bit of help, they will contribute a lot more, to the well-being of society. We have a lot to offer. It's just not tapped into.
Well, the one thing I'd like to change about aged care, I would promote a greater awareness to keeping oneself to prevent premature nursing home residency.
One thing I will change is the reduction in bureaucracy in the aged care system. Every time they try and simplify and they introduce more hurdles. We need something quick. Person cannot plan that I will be sick after 6 months. It happens. And I don't think our aged care system satisfies that.
Maybe we need more funding. So, because we are limited, sometimes we're limited with the financial, especially when we try to go out in the park.
I would love the government to give the free taxi card so they can come. So it's good for them, it's great help to get together, otherwise they get stuck at home.
Transport to the old people, even to take them, let's say, to the hospital, not to the club only, take them to the hospital or take them to the doctor. Because, all right, they got family, but not every time the family will take them.
Helping people maybe to stay home instead of going to a retiring home, if they can get help to be able to do that.
Help them to avoid the isolation. Not so much financially, but more isolation. That what the majority of people do suffer.
We need to go out more often. I think that's what's needed, especially for seniors. Yeah.
It's great to see, seniors talk about the issues that affect them and what they want to be changed, what they want for the government and aged care providers to change in the way they approach, activities for seniors and volunteers who put in the time and work, who wants to socialize. And I think it was a wonderful way of them expressing to the wider audience how important it is for them to stay connected and not be isolated. And now we would watch the second video, and this video talks about celebrating culturally and linguistically diverse people, older people, and senior citizens club volunteers, and they are talking about what volunteering means to them and how they share their culture in their clubs. So hope you enjoy this one too.
do singing, our own Filipino songs.
Dress up with the traditional clothes. I've got my mother-in-law's clothes.
We have a lot of commemorations, like when Italy was freed from fascism. All those significant events are celebrated.
Some activities are culturally guided, like you're celebrating festival.
They exchange things they might watch on TV or on the internet, from overseas.
And they play bingo, they play bocce. I never win, but I play bocce.
You've got all sorts of people from all the different regions of Italy, and we all have our own little special recipes, and we share that.
Every Tuesday, we go dancing school, and we have other nationalities they join to us to learn.
Volunteering provides a purpose in life. Purpose in life, to me, is very, very important.
You get the opportunity to talk. And I love doing it. I could go home and think that I hadn't been alone. It was one way I could deal with my loneliness. Yeah.
It's good as mentally, emotionally, and physically, because we have to maintain our health and strength.
We can be ourselves and be accepted. Is just, it's incredible.
Makes me feel wanted. I feel that I want to help, and I find a way to help.
Then they ring me up at home to talk, to tell me this and that. And I love to listen to them, or I got time to listen to them. And that will make me very happy.
It's the best thing you can do, because ladies, they couldn't go out of the house. Since the clubs, the ladies very happy. They got the strength to go anywhere.
It's the satisfaction of knowing that you've worked, yes, but you've done something that makes people happy. It's the best feeling.
We all came here with nothing, and we work hard, and on the end, we got something to get together and talk about it.
Congratulations from me to all the volunteers for the work that you do.
Wonderful. I hope you all enjoyed the videos that we have for you today. And thanks again to Sarah and Red Hat Films helping us produce these videos. And how wonderful it is to see, all the people expressing themselves and, expressing what they are missing or what they need. And especially on Harmony Week, that we acknowledge how important it is for all the people to feel that they belong.
Thanks very much, Biljana. I really agree with the beautiful videos that were produced by Red Hat Films in collaboration with Spectrum Micro Research Center and the Northern Federation of Ethnic Senior Citizen Clubs, obviously. So there was a question whether the volunteers are also volunteering or providing help at aged care homes. We know obviously that there's a community visitor scheme, which is a different program. But I'm just leaving this question for Nadereh to say, if some of the people from the Northern Federation, are they volunteering, visiting seniors in aged care homes?
Yes, they do. Although they are elderly themselves, most of them, they're over 70 years, but they do volunteer at various aged care homes. And they, because they might have had their parents in an aged care home, and then they, for example, one of our volunteer, his mom was at the aged care home, had dementia, and then after mom passed away, he carried on doing volunteer at the same care home. So they definitely volunteer in all aspects of society, and as well as doing their club, which is a huge job.
Thanks very much for that, Nadereh. I just want to go back maybe to the video, I think, which came out quite often, was the topic of social inclusion. And, how important it is for senior citizens to feel welcome. And, we talk about Harmony Week this week, being included, belong to the club, belong to the culture, belong to the community. Why, Nadereh, do you think that especially ethnic and multicultural seniors groups are really so important for people to mingle, to feel included and overcome social isolation?
But the importance of it is that they have a place that they can go, that they feel really comfortable and at home. For them, it is, as they are elderly, and it's difficult to some of them access mainstream due to language barrier and due to the fact that they have been going to these clubs for a good number of years, and they form those friendships there. So sustainability of these clubs are very important to these cohort. And we're talking about quite a large number of people that they're still going to the senior groups. And by no means they are just a very small group. Depending on which side of Melbourne you're looking at, but there is quite a large number of senior clubs still operating, that they're from CALD backgrounds. Some of them are ethnic specific, and some of them are mixed group. So they could be from all the, say Russian and Ukrainian, but it could be also South Slavs as well. So they would be able to, in this way, to support each other, and they have celebration and they cultural things that they can celebrate together, or they commemorate, and that is again important for them. And they have someone that sit next to them, and they can talk about how they have that understanding of where they come from.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Nadereh, thanks so much for sharing that with us. I really appreciate that. And Nadereh is absolutely an expert in that area, and she's worked a long time with leaders of senior citizens clubs. We have another question. It's from Sula. What can we do as a group to advocate and increase intergenerational connections, in terms of especially diverse intergenerational connections? Guess, that could be via families, could be with service or other community groups. What are sort of activities maybe, Nadereh, you are aware of, or that where there are intergenerational activities happening?
Well, what we're trying to promote is that volunteer, that they can have their volunteer, they can come to the clubs, and in one hand they can support the clubs with some simple tasks, because as these people aging, they probably won't be able to deal with some of the, even setting the room, even doing some of the promotional activities online, and things that they can sit and chat with someone that they just they can exchange a language. So the volunteer can benefit from maybe practicing a different language if they wanted to. And they can also, this person can learn something about the cultures. They can learn about how they can work as a volunteer, and that would be going towards their work experience. So it can be benefiting both sides of the for both sides. And one of the things we've been promoting all the council to or services that they have volunteers, that if they can link the volunteers with the senior clubs and just trial it. Just have there are both sides, there might be a resistance or it is a new thing. But if they would trial it and see if they be able to support each other, I think that's one of the way they could help with the intergenerational. And I know another one that one of our clubs that is the Northern Senior Indian Association, and we have Santosh Kumar here, and they run 3-generation lunches that they can get the on Sunday once a month. The 3-generation get together and have lunch together, grandparents, children, and grandchildren. So that's another way of bringing their younger generation to the club and having that connection with their families.
Thanks very much, Nadereh, for that. Maybe Santosh, would you like to, if you feel comfortable, elaborate a little bit on what Nadereh said on your Northern Regional India Seniors Association and what intergenerational activities you've been doing and why you've been doing them, why do you think they're important?
3-generation, I think, is a very desirable concept because it keeps the family together. Otherwise, as people grow and they don't see the children, they only see their own grandchildren, but they don't see other children. So there is a distance slowly creeps between them. And we therefore encourage people to take on our bus trip, train excursions, and also in our regular events, that if somebody wants to come, they are welcome. But 1 or 2 events in a year we try to make where family members are welcome.
Thanks very much, Santosh. And Santosh, as you have seen here, was one of the actors or stars or community members who participated in the film. So thank you very much, Santosh, for your contribution and participation. Now we have a question. I think that was a really important one, and it came from Miranda, and she was saying she is from regional Victoria, and she mentioned that the experience that a lot of the community members, for example, from the Greek Seniors Clubs, are the same volunteers every year, and they're exhausted organizing activities and so on. And the rest of the club members are becoming old and frail, and so they will not volunteer. This is, I guess, a question around funding and what support are there for clubs. I don't know, Nadereh, if you want to comment on that. It will be probably similar with with some of the volunteers of the federation. What's your view on that?
Yes, we always. We are fortunate that Spectrum is supporting the Northern Federation and the clubs that they are a part of the federation. But it is also some of the council what they have. They have some offices that they would support, or they should have offices that they do support the senior clubs. And I know that these they've been limited and they've been decreasing. But what we are, as a federation, we've been advocating to the Victorian Multicultural Affairs is that there is a great need for this club to continue to operate and be effective. So if they have that funding available to them, or they or make funding to maybe peak bodies available that they could support the clubs. That would be one way of that we just can't, we had the idea on. But yes, for regional Victoria, obviously it's much harder.
Thanks very much, Nadereh. We had also a comment by Christine Hopwood. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, certainly. I actually used to implement intergenerational programs with in the city of Toronto, which is very much a melting pot of communities with over 96 different nationalities in the aged care community that I was working in. We had over 1,000 residents, and we had local schools with the elementary schools that we were working with, and then we worked with older school programs within the high schools. And then when I first came here to Australia, I was doing some volunteer work with the local aged care facilities too, actually out here in Gippsland. And I was able to connect them with local high schools and also elementary schools. And we ran intergenerational programs so that the younger generations could connect with the seniors. And I did empathy training for the students so that they had an understanding of why someone was using a walker to walk, why someone had glasses that they used, why someone would be having a hearing aid. So then they weren't scared to mix with the seniors, and the relationships that they formed, they were a short program of about 8 or 9 weeks that I did when I was here. The one that I did in Canada, we did it through the whole school year, and they visited once a week. And the relationships that they formed, they didn't want to say goodbye at the end of the school year. They learned so much, as the seniors were also mentoring for the students. And they learned so much and shared and had so much fun.
Thanks very much, Christine. I was just wondering if there's any other service provider organization that had made like maybe similar experience with Christine, or any other best practice examples like we've seen here today in the videos that you as an organization have come across or you have been involved with, that maybe you wanted to share that you thought was very good in terms of supporting or encouraging seniors from multicultural backgrounds to volunteer or to help them to be socially included. Are there any other comments or questions around that?
Nikki, the other thing I was going to add was that at Spectrum, we used to also run these intergenerational programs the same way as Christine mentioned. And that was from the school across the road to one of our centers. And that the student came and they together, they made a gnocchi, and then the student, the seniors, they show the student how to make gnocchi, and the student helps seniors how to look at, something on their computer or just start the computer, or they did gardening together. So they used to be more of these services available, but because the funding has changed, then there's less of these services are also available.
Thanks very much. And there have a few been comments around the funding and availability of programs in the chat. For example, Sula was mentioning that there is a lack of targeted called funding for certain intergenerational art programs, for example. We had also people mentioning the benefits of these activities for mental health. That's another important issue. And Miranda mentioned the issues I hear that the younger generation generally moved out into the city for work, and some are settled and busy with their own family. So we have a lot of, I guess, different issues there linked to that. And we know that in some regional areas, for example, because we're just coming back from a regional consultation, there's sometimes very limited social support programs or senior citizen clubs that are sensitive to the needs of seniors from culturally diverse backgrounds. So we have another comment here. We connected with our local Facebook group, Latvians in Brisbane, and had lovely volunteers bring our residents who lives with dementia Latvian food and traditional clothes. However, the one-on-one chatting in Latvian was worth more than gold. The smile it brought to the resident was heartwarming. That's really a beautiful example. I don't know if the person, I can't see exactly the name who brought it up, if you wanted to add anything to that and why, if you think that, could maybe replicate it across other areas or any sort of insights from that.
Just when you were talking of, some volunteers coming in, we do have close connections. We're fortunate to have a high school across from our aged care home, but finding local groups, who live in the next suburb, fortunate enough to, we're using social media to tap into those groups. So the Latvian group was a beautiful example. Also, a local Irish group for St. Patrick's Day were able to have them come and visit our Irish residents, and even the children gave a performance. So I think we're trying to find more local ways and using social media, because unfortunately a lot of the volunteers pre-COVID, they're not volunteering anymore because they themselves elderly, they have their own health issues, and COVID sort of knocks on the door every now and again, and they have just decided to no longer volunteer. So we're just looking at other avenues. Yeah, so it's been good.
Thanks for your example, and thanks for sharing that with the group. I really appreciate that.
Just a final comment would be that although some of these clubs are aging and their membership is reducing to a point that it's not viable to carry on, but there are also new and emerging community that they're forming the clubs, that it is very important for their community and also for broader Australian community. So we're still in a space that we need to support the senior groups rather than setting them aside and thinking, well, we'll look at different model. And I think we have still a lot of work here to support them. So I hope that will be the case.
And we know that in Victoria, there's around 900 plus senior citizens clubs in Victoria, and a lot of them receive government funding from the Victorian government. And I hope that that in other states, there's also ways that seniors can get support. It's not much often they get, and we know that the Commonwealth Home Support Program is transitioning. So there's also that issue with that, which have traditionally supported a lot of the smaller organizations. This is part of our diversity webinar series. So we're having about one webinar every month. And what's coming up is recognizing multi-faith initiatives in aged care. And then in May, we have culturally diverse perspectives on mental health care. And then we have a June only face-to-face event here in Melbourne around the hidden culture decolonizing Melbourne with Uncle Shane Charles, who was in our Welcome to Country. Visit our website under the training section and see if there's any of these upcoming webinars that might interest you. If you wanted to participate, as today, they're usually just for 1 hour, except for the June one, which is a little bit longer. Also, we have the opportunity for you to provide feedback to improve the Australian aged care system for seniors from culturally diverse backgrounds. So we have on our homepage a survey that you can fill out. So we have already a few people have already filled that out, and we can then feed that back to the Australian Department of Health and Aged Care on what you think should be priority areas and advocacy areas for culturally diverse seniors and advocating to the government. Now, we're very proud that together with the Australian Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission, we created a free learning module that's available through the link below. Everybody is a Story, Delivering Culturally Inclusive Care. We believe it's really good. It gives a very, high-level overview for in-home care and for particularly for staff, how to deliver more culturally inclusive care. It's all available on the Alice platform of the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission and through that link. So feel free to have a look at that. You can access that through our webpage. Also, we have Biljana, who you met now, who is hosting this webinar. She is working on podcast One Size Doesn't Fit All. And we're just working on season 2. And we have some amazing speakers lined up. And we have done just one recently. And you can access the podcast at the link there under the culturaldiversity.com.au website. And they're really about showcasing culture inclusive care. So the first season was around what aged care providers can do, what they have done. And the second part is more around seniors advocacy and looking at more from the angle of from culturally, linguistically diverse seniors. We've developed a number of practice guides. At the moment, we have 19 practice guides. They are available on our website as well. One more recently is Culturally Appropriate Dementia Care, 10 Steps to Developing Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Plan in Aged Care. We're also having one on diverse media options now on our website. Effective co-design with consumers from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, culturally inclusive feedback. So feel free to access them. They're very short, so they're really succinct and to the point to help you if you want to work on one of these issues and improve your service delivery to seniors from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. So feel free to have a look at them and access them. This is one of our posters that we have that you can put up in your rooms, in your office rooms. So your members of your team can quickly access and find out more about the work that we do. We provide training sessions to aged care providers on specific topics. So if there's any of your organization that would like a online training session on culturally appropriate care, we can certainly deliver that. There's a free translation project in aged care that we encourage all of you to access. So any aged care organization can access this free translation service for your materials that you have, for example, to welcome people to your service, whether it's video, whether it's printed materials, and then translate them into different languages. I think this is a really good because, the government has committed to that project. This wasn't the case previously. And we, for example, have a number of communication cards that we now have to have translated through that project into communication phrases, which are available also on our website under resources. So if you want to find more about that free project, please go to diversityagedcare.health.gov.au. We are part of the Culturally Appropriate Care Alliance. So there's a PCAC program provider in each state and territory. We are the Victorian provider who is funded by the Department of Health and Aged Care to deliver training on culturally inclusive care. The PCAC Alliance is really about, bundling and focusing on supporting the needs of aged care providers to deliver culturally inclusive care and for seniors to receive quality service. So we work together to advocate together. And I'll hand back to Biljana. And I want to thank you as well quickly for everybody who attended today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the Harmony Week. Thank you, Biljana.
You can find us on culturaldiversity.com.au. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. We always post interesting resources there too. And follow us also on YouTube. So thanks again, Sarah, and thanks everyone for participating. We will see you next time.